Hey guys, it's Chris, and I'm here with the 5th episode of the Toned and Toneful podcast. Today we're going to be talking about self-love versus self-discipline. Which one do we really need? And I think this is a really important subject, so I'm pretty excited about, diving into that today. But right before we get started, I just wanted to say, got actually regular coffee today. I'm drinking some regular today, guys. And I've got my very, very, very cool Prince coaster today. So, I'm feeling the original vibes today. So, anyway, back onto the subject of talking about self-love versus self-discipline. This is something that I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people about. Goes beyond music, but I think it has a lot to do with the results that we get in music and the results that we typically get out of life. So one of the things that I wanted to take a little time to explore was, if you're the kind of person who is looking to make the most of self-love, like you're saying, hey, I'm having a bad day, I want to go do some retail therapy, or, I want to do this, the modernized version of self-love, which is what we've been kind of taught, probably I'd say the last decade and a half, is you're supposed to do materialistic things for yourself. You're supposed to build yourself up with, like confidence boosters and little things that make you feel good, which there's nothing wrong with those, but we got to kind of look at the light to where they come from. And also spending money on ourselves, like, for our looks, building our ego. So when we're talking about self-love, is that really what we're talking about? Is it really about our outer appearance or how just good I feel all the time? Is that what self-love is about? And I think I've heard a lot of different definitions. Some people, that is absolutely what it is. They say, hey, I'm going to give myself some self-love today. I'm just going to shower myself with compliments, shower myself with positive affirmations, whether I've earned them or not, whether they're particularly true about my particular character and my particular doings. This is a really, really, really important thing I think that a lot of people could think about, because first off, the positive affirmations, they're great. There's nothing wrong with telling yourself, hey, you got this, or hey, focus. We're going to get through this particular task, or we're going to get through this particular, whatever mission or whatever it is we're going to do. Some things are just a task that's 5 minutes, and some things that we're holding ourselves to, like recording an album or going on a tour, are multiple months. They're decent commitments for sure. They're decent commitments. So they got to be beyond just like, oh, okay, whatever, So the positive affirmations, again, a lot of people are going to give themselves positive affirmations, and that's great. But the question again comes from, are these really true about ourselves? Now, the second thing I wanted to point out is a lot of people will go take themselves out and they'll go buy like some food that's going to make them feel good. They're going to go out and get this really greasy hamburger, or order these really awesome vegan, really deep fried items that, maybe while at the same time, they might be something that could make you feel better. Are you doing better by going against your diet? Are you doing better by going against what you're supposed to be feeding yourself? Again, self-love, but are we really feeding ourselves what we need, or are we just putting in whatever we want because we're acting like this self-love is a guise just to do whatever I want for myself without having to explain it, without having to justify it? Because if you really, really think about it, so far down the path that we've been on is we're buying ourselves stuff and we're giving ourselves positive affirmations, but we got to be really careful where these are coming from. Say that you were giving yourself a positive affirmation that you really deserve, and then moved into like getting yourself a meal that really like helped your body. Man, maybe we're actually talking about self-love now. But if it's somebody who's giving themselves positive affirmations, whether they're true or not, and then going somewhere and then buying themselves a meal that's not healthy for them, especially maybe for their body type or who they are. Like, you could be someone who just has high blood pressure and salt's not good for you. You could be a person who's a little bit on the insulin, you have bad insulin response now, and you shouldn't have too much sugar. So everyone's got different things. I'm not talking about any specific thing. I'm just saying everybody's got something that they might need to specifically worry about. And the third thing is the retail therapy and the spa days and stuff. So self-love. You get some retail therapy. I go out and I buy myself a new guitar. I come home and I plug it in, and I play everything I know on it, but it's all of the same things I already know. I'm thinking, oh man, this guitar sounds better. This guitar is better. But the real question always really comes back down to one thing. Am I becoming better? Because this is about self-love, right? This was about gaining for the self, actually building the self. Not ego, but like seeing ourselves. And I think a really big part of what we need to see is self-love versus self-acceptance. I think self-acceptance would be a much better way to see it. Hey, I'm doing a really good job on this specific thing. I'm going to give myself a positive affirmation. Hey, I noticed that I want to do something good for myself today, so I'm going to go get myself a meal that's going to be healthy and tasty for me, and it's going to fit within the guidelines that my body needs. Perfect. And then thinking, finally, okay, I have this guitar, and while it might not be, maybe the one I want right this moment, or I'm going through a phase where I'm going on Sweetwater, or I'm going on Guitar Center, I'm visiting the local guitar shop, and I'm seeing guitars that I want. The real question is that helping me write? Is that helping me become a better player? Or is that just turning me into a person who's now got, another, rack on my guitar filled out, and it's just another guitar that, I hate to say it, for a lot of guitar players, what's that tuned in? Standard. What's that tuned in? Standard. What's that tuned in? Standard. It's like, what's the point of all these guitars? Oh, I got a single coil sound, and I got a humbucker sound, and I got this other sound. And it's kind of like, oh, that's really cool. How many songs have you written? Oh, well, I'm working on this demo. It's like, how long have you been working on it? And you find out it's been time. If we're going to be giving ourselves self-love is giving ourselves the acceptance to go, hey, this is the guitar I currently have, and I'm going to unleash my creativity on this. I'm going to use this as a place to channel because in a previous time, I chose this guitar. I chose this situation. And that goes a lot with self-love. If we can see where we really are and we can accept where we really are, I think we're doing better than what the media sells us as self-love. And again, you guys are, I'm always curious what you guys think. So leave comments, in the comments and let me know, what do you guys think self-love is? Or am I wrong? Or am I being too strict about what I think self-love is? Again, this video is about self-love versus self-discipline. So this is the first section. I kind of wanted to separate the videos up more so I could talk on each subject a little more thoroughly. So this is going to be, again, the self-love section, and then we're going to do a break, and then we're going to go into the self-discipline section and talk about maybe what we need more, or is it a balance? Is it a balance of seeing ourselves for what we are and then disciplining ourselves into the next level? But again, self-love versus that self-acceptance. So just taking it back to the level, self-love, self-acceptance. When we have it at that level, which path are you choosing, or how are you choosing to hear it? Are you choosing to hear self-love as this retail holiday, as this getaway, as this, I just do whatever the hell I want and I just feel great? Or is it kind of something where you're like, no, I'm starting to see who I really am. And now that I see who I am when I'm around other people, I'm not uncomfortable because I know my value in certain situations. And I kind of know that this person's good at that other thing, and that's time for me to be quiet. That's time for me to let that other person shine and do their thing, because if we're really living in our human side, we're understanding that as a group, we can conquer a lot of things. Is your drummer good at something that you're not good at? Let the drummer speak on it. Is your bass player really good at this synth work that you want to do but you're struggling with? Let them help you. Again, that self-love and self-acceptance, it allows you to even learn more. Again, what do you guys think? Leave it in the comments. And this is going to be before we switch over to the self-discipline section. Hey guys, it's Chris, and now we're back with the second section, self-discipline. So I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about something that I put a lot of effort into, because I believe that while we can have self-love in our life and we can have that appreciation for who we are and what we want to do, I think one of the best things we can have is actual self-discipline. Because the world is always going to throw variables our way. And I think one of the most important things that we can be is someone who's so solid and someone who's so in tune with our mission and our message and our communication again, that we can be disciplined about it. So when I see a lot of people who are exploring self-love and they're going through the emotional ups and downs of like every day, like, you wake up in the morning, things are going good, you get outside and your tire's flat. You're like, all right. And you start trying to work that out and you get to work and you can tell everyone at work is not happy with you. And you're like, yo, this isn't even my fault. Like, my car just had a flat. I must have ran over something on the road yesterday. I couldn't even tell. It was a slow leak. So this is where like you can kind of tell that your day can go anywhere. It could be a call from your mom that changes your life. You could hear some really bad news. Or you could have something that changes you. Like you could get a raise at your job, but you could become 3 times busier. And so your emotions are all over the place. You got money, but at the same time now you have like no time. So I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is self-discipline can heal a lot of that need for self-love. Because I think if you look at it from the standpoint that I see it from, and again, this is just my opinion. This is what this is for on Toned and Toneful, is talk to you guys about, where I see things from and just talk to you guys and comment on it, get comments from you guys so we can talk about it together. But if you wake up in the morning, and I call it tending my garden. So this is like a very important part of my life. If you're actually tending your garden, and you're making the effort to not just be someone who wakes up every day and goes, well, I did my yoga and I did my workout, because we can go through those things without thinking. We can go through those things without thinking. But to be the kind of person who wakes up and writes in a journal every day, and you write down anything, because I think a lot of people start off with the journal supposed to be this artistic like rendition of your life, like you're writing poetry or something, or it's supposed to be hyper emotional, like it's got to say all this stuff that is so intense that if you have nothing that's that intense, it's not worth writing. It's not about that. It's about a constant flow of communication from your brain to you, the physical you, like from your spiritual kind of cognitive sense all the way down to you. And I think the more times that you practice bringing that out of yourself, to me, journaling every day and having a really honest guitar jam is part of that. But I'm going to explain this anyway. So I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do is I have a couple of nutritional things I do, like have 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar with water and a few other things. But as soon as I'm finished with like my morning, like just the nutritional routine, I do a very basic, I breathe and get myself awake. The thing I'm going to do is pull out my journal. I'm going to write stuff. And I write in there every day without judgment. I just write. And I'm going. And after about maybe a minute or two, I'll realize a certain subject is formalizing, or maybe it's just all over the place, but that's not what matters. Actually, the coolest thing is a year later, looking back at the journal and realizing the flow of thought that got to you to where you are right at this moment, and how so many positive and negative moments were involved in that. But if your mission was on like moving forward in a certain way, it was always there. And you can see it. And you can see that if you look at yourself and you really give yourself this space for self-discipline, you'll grow in that way. The second rule to tending my garden is for me a meditation. There's different types of meditation. Some people are going to imagine nothingness. Some people do heartfulness meditations. Some people do group meditations. Some people practice breathing techniques. It really doesn't matter, but you got to find one for your particular being that feels like you can start to develop an idea of what it is to deflect a thought. Like, say if I'm playing guitar on stage and someone's giving me this look that they're kind of like, yo, man, I'm not digging what you're doing. And you can kind of tell you're a musician, you're a sensitive person. You're looking, you're like, crap, they kind of don't like what I'm playing. It doesn't matter. Their personal thought at this moment has nothing to do with the expression of just what you're doing. I'm not saying that they're not allowed to have their own opinion. They can think it sucks. That's whatever. But for you as a person trying to get this idea out, you need to get it out. You need to realize that you are the vessel for this very beautiful moment. So just go ahead and keep playing and recognize that while we're spending our time meditating, we're developing this sense of not negating thoughts or not going, I don't care about them, but going, they can exist and that's okay. I accept myself. I accept what they think, and at the same time, it has nothing to do with what I'm doing. That comes from their set of circumstances and opinions. And I think if we can really lock that in with ourselves and really lock that in, so many people would be able to get looked at, and then they would feel no fidgeting in their body. They would feel like, oh, I don't need to fix my hair. I don't need to like change my shirt or like, and I'm guilty as hell of this. I'm the kind of person who's like, oh man, like, you know, like Mobius guitar or like Tom Anderson or Paul Reed Smith, and like, is my top good enough? And like, and while at the same time I've really got to enjoy that, I really got to take a look at, do I accept myself for me with or without this type of instrument, how amazing they are? Can I accept me? And the more I can do that, the more not only do I communicate better, when I play that instrument, I earn it more. I play better on it. I accept the notes I play and go, yo, like, what can I do to like fix this? But not in like a destructive, like, oh, nothing's good enough, but in a positive, like, that's not the note I want. That's not the melody I hear, but like, how do I get to that? No matter what, without being mad about it. No matter what, with realizing that I'm meant to deliver that message, that music. So that second part to tending your garden, the meditation and developing your mindset to not be just thrown off course because someone's thinking something, or they say some outlandish crap where you're like, yo, dude, why would you even say that? Like, what does that even mean? What? You got to learn to let those go. You know what I'm saying? Because for our health and our mission, we've got to be focused on the mission, not getting caught up on someone else's thoughts. And another really important third thing to me is the way you feel about your music warm-up or your warm-up for your favorite activity. For example, if I'm going to play music and the thing I do is I pick up my guitar and I start doing chromatics, my mindset's very robotic for the day. It's hard to break. I can't get out of it. As a matter of fact, a lot of the whole day I'm, everything is so numeric and everything is so, pattern oriented. No, the 1, 3, 5, 7, and then we'll flat this and we'll do. That doesn't matter, man. The question is when you warm up, are you connected to your instrument? Are you connected to your being and your acceptance of what you can do? Try to play a fast run and it doesn't happen right? Okay. Try to do these other things and you kind of see where you are for the day. That doesn't mean accept the limit, but you got to know where you are to push the limit, right? Like if you're going to push the limit on something, you got to know where the limit is. And all of us have our limits. Oh, excuse me, guys. All of us have our limits. But if we were to learn them and we were to like get on them and push them by micro boundaries, damn, you'd be breaking the boundaries every day. Probably more consistently than you'd be willing to believe. That is such a powerful thing. Think about that. Connecting to your instrument or what you do. Or before you do a push-up, do you actually put your hands in front of you and check, okay, this is where my chest is the most tense. Okay, so like at this height, at this arm distance, I feel the most contraction. And when I do my push-up, I want it to be in that format. Or do you just get on the floor and you're like, oh, this is hard. Oh, I got to do my warm-up. I got to play C major scale. Get your thoughts to your instrument. After you play for like 20, 30 minutes, you really play, I'll always jump back into warm-ups. Because warm-ups, after you've played a little bit, it's like you're tightening up. You're like, okay, cool, I was kind of doing this. Now I just want to pick better. And then you go back and play your riff that you're working on, and your brain is just flowing. Do those push-ups where your hands are in the right spot and you got this blood flow and you go, man, 2 more sets of those and my body will actually look different. I'll actually have made a gain. And that could be a gain in any sort of thing. So anyway, guys, self-discipline versus self-love. Again, self-love section was first. This is the self-discipline section. Tend your garden, guys. Tend you. And as you develop your self-discipline, I think you'll have more self-acceptance. And the more you see yourself as you are and what you're capable of and where your limitations are. Hey, like, I'm really, really, really good at this and this other thing. I'll work on it always. But that other person innately has a strong skill in it. And learn to work with those around you. Learn to be creative and learn to trust your sense of like, hey, What does it take for me inside me to make this work so we can get to the next point? And I think if we can do that, we can have music at a whole new level. I think we could have actions from people at a whole new level with much more humanism than ever known, with much more capability than ever known. Because the garden that's tended is a flourishing jungle. The self-love garden where you water it with, Miracle Grow every once in a while and then let your garden look like crap for 6 months and then you just chunk Miracle Grow on it and you go on a vacation and pamper yourself and you blow all your money? Or would you rather be the person who tended your garden every day, you put your money away, you humbly understand, hey, I might not be able to afford that self-love lifestyle, but after I do enough self-discipline and I do enough work on my music and keep making riffs on the guitar I have and keep putting my mindset to connecting, all the things that I would have wanted will come anyway. And the way that I feel about myself when I lay my head down at night on my bed is, it's time to go to bed. It's time to rest up and do what I must do tomorrow because I have a plan and mission that I work on and I do. Anyway, guys, I'm really happy to always talk with you every week. Please comment on the difference between self-love and self-discipline to you. I would love to hear them. I would love to know about them. So far, every comment that's been left on the videos has touched me. And you guys really, really rock, and I hope that you guys have a great Tuesday. Toned and Toneful.